Hey gamers, if you have a hero's heart and think you have what it takes to defend the village, then you want to check out Aberration. Let's take a look at how this game plays. In this game, heroes are going to be working together to try and stop the Great Beast and his aberrations from overrunning the village. Each round will start with the village turn, except for the first round. And that will basically be just returning any of the villagers who you've placed on any of the spots around the map back to the center and rotating the first player token. This game is set up for the introductory game where heroes have only a couple of the different options for hero classes and abilities to choose from, and we don't start with any vantage points, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But that's how every round will start with the village turn. Then you'll go into the hero turn. The first thing that you'll do on a hero turn is move one of the leftmost tokens from your board into your bag. And so that'll just depend on what kind of things that you want to try and level up. So you have intellect, which will affect things like your traps and will allow you to do certain different abilities. Your strength, which is mostly for melee attacking. Your speed, which will help you move and sometimes is also for ranged abilities. And your command, which is what will help you put villagers onto the various locations that you can have them on and assign them to different things as well. And that'll also have all of your abilities here that you can do, and it'll show you what color you'll need for them. Some of them are a specific color, some you can put any color on them. And so you'll just try and decide which track maybe that you want to go up. You'll also start with a couple of things in your bag according to the back of your 2-player boards here. So maybe I want to go for speed. So I'm going to take a token off of my speed track, and this one happens to, instead of increasing my number right away, give me an item card. So I'll go ahead and draw an item card, and your item cards are just going to stay face up in front of you so that everybody can see them. You can use item cards for their abilities on your turn, or on anybody's turn, you can use them for their below abilities here, which let you do things like re-roll or avoid damage. And some of the other abilities up here are, as you can see, like revealing shadows on the map and ignoring reveal effects, which can be really helpful. Then players will draw tokens equal to their intellect. So I start with a 3, so I will go ahead and draw 3 of my tokens here. And I got a intellect, a speed, and a transformation token, which does immediately give me a damage. And anytime that I hit the red tokens on my damage track, I will draw transformation cards. When I draw a transformation card, I will go ahead and take a look at that. Most of them will have some flaws, which are bad things that will happen to you potentially over time. So like when I draw this, everybody's going to gain a fear on the fear track, which we don't want to get more fear. Hit 15 fear before we can hit 15 survival, or we will lose the game. And then this one, though, also has a benefit for me. Aberration attacks deal me 1 less damage, which is really good for the future. So that wouldn't be too bad of one to get. But again, I'm only going to draw those when I hit those red transformation symbols on my damage board. Then, like I said, you're going to take different actions. So like I could use this one here to move up to my speed and then make a ranged attack. So I could move up to my speed. There's nothing for me to attack right now because none of the shadows have been revealed. But if they were to have been revealed, I could maybe make a ranged attack. Or instead of doing that first, I could use my green token here to reveal a shadow on any map tile and then make a ranged attack against them. So if I reveal a shadow, that one happens to be a villager, so I wouldn't have to do anything for that. But let's say that that wasn't the one I revealed. Let's say that I revealed this. It has a 2 and a 3 on it. So I would come over to the monster board and I would look at the 2 and the 3, and that would actually spawn both of those monsters out on the board. Some of the shadow tokens might also have other abilities. So like this is one that has a reveal effect, so I would activate or summon one of the number 1 monsters. Then I would also do the incite effect, which in this case would be to activate the monstrosity, or a monstrosity is one of these ones. If there isn't a monstrosity, then I would activate this horde instead. So some of them will have those reveal effects. But like I said, if I was able to summon some of these by revealing shadows, then I would be able to make a ranged attack. And this particular attack that I have here lets me roll speed dice in order to do so. So my speed stat coming back to my player board is 2. So I would roll 2 dice to make that. And I would have picked one of these beforehand. So let's say I picked this one. So I did a total of 3 damage. And that one does happen to have 3 health. So I would have killed it, which is really great, because that would come off the board. And in the intro scenario, you will actually get survival points for defeating the different hordes and monstrosities that come out. So in that case, I would be able to bump this up to the next survival number, and then we'll keep doing that as we defeat monsters. And if we get to 15, that is one of the ways that we can win the game. Again, if we get to 15 fear, that's one of the ways that we can lose the game. And players will just go around the table, everybody taking a hero turn, in exactly that way. But of course, everybody has different abilities that they'll be able to activate. And everything that you use will go to your discard pool. Unless you didn't use all of your tokens, you can usually save one. There is a character who can save two. Then you would go into the monster's turn, and you'll start by activating all of the apparitions clockwise from the north. So in this case, we just have this one apparition here still, and they'll move toward the village center. If they move into a spot or already are in a spot with a hero, they will stop or not move and instead attack, rolling their attack stat in order to do damage to the hero. And then if they reach the village center, you'll take some fear for that and discard that monster. Then after aberrations are activated, you'll activate all of the shadows. Anytime that a shadow reaches a hero or a fire spot, you'll flip them over and do what's on them. Again, went over that, activating the different numbered hordes and monstrosities, doing any of the reveal effects, or potentially getting some villagers as well. Then after that, you will take the Great Beast card on top of the stack. And that has a couple of different things that you'll do. So you'll look at the number here for which horde or monstrosity that you will upgrade. So that will tick it up another level. So that will potentially give it more health or potentially give it more dice to roll for their attacks. Then they'll have some kind of event or effect. So this is going to place an influence token on the west map tile. And influence tokens are tokens that are going to block spaces. So no heroes, no shadows, nothing can go into them. And if you have an influence token on every spot on a map tile, that is another way that you can lose the game. And then you'll spawn shadows. So in this case, it would be number of heroes plus one. This is set up for a 2-player game, so it would spawn 3 shadows, starting with the west tile and moving clockwise. And then you'll just discard this card, and that also is one of the timers for the game. If you ever have to draw a Great Beast card and cannot, that is another way that you can lose the game. But again, you'll just keep taking turns and doing rounds in that fashion until you hit one of the win or loss conditions. As I mentioned in that intro scenario, you're going to get survival points by defeating the hordes and monstrosities that are out. In the later scenarios, you'll have various vantage points that you can spend your action tokens to flip over and secure, which will give you new areas that you can place villagers, but will also give you some of the survival points as well. And you'll also play with objective cards, which will have you do various things, defeating 5 aberrations, having no shadows on a map tile, lighting fires, defeating a monstrosity, and that will give you various points for survival as well as you complete those things each round. There's a bunch of different scenarios in the book in order to keep up variety, so you're not going to necessarily play the same exact map, the same setup, the same monsters twice in a row. And then there is a bunch of different hero classes to choose from, which again will affect the setup for your initial bag, and all of those different characters as well to choose from, which will have different innate abilities as well. I thought that this game was really cool. I thought that it had a lot of really cool art for the monsters especially, and actually just wanted to have more of them out all of the time. But I really liked the bag building mechanic of it. I thought it felt a little bit unique from other bag building games that I've played. I had everything available to me and I could go up on one track like entirely, or I could go up a little bit in everything if I wanted to diversify. And I thought that that worked really well, and it worked really well too. You would discuss with the people that you were playing with to say like, okay, maybe we should all specialize in one of the different colored stats, or maybe we should all kind of spread out so that we can kind of do all different things across the map, no matter where we are, or what kind of monsters are out, or things like that. So I just thought that the mechanism of the bag building just worked really well for me. I also liked that sometimes you got better stats, sometimes you got item cards, because I think that that helped it from feeling like, oh, this stat's better because you always get items, this stat's better because you always get to go up right away in that number. So overall, I thought, like I said, that worked really well for me. I also just thought in general the variety of the gameplay with all the different scenarios worked really well. Short games definitely didn't feel too short. I think that long games also didn't overstay their welcome. I thought that there was still enough of that kind of just like tension of like, oh, like, should we fight monsters this turn? Should we do vantage points this turn? Should we, always that discussion of like what the best route to take next was while still having like enough decision space, enough variety, enough going on the board that everybody could feel really involved. I really liked it as a two-player game, but I do think that there's more balancing that comes with more players because you're going to have to deal with potentially more shadows coming out because you're going to have, it's always like number of players and then potentially plus more. So you're going to have more with more players. And so thinking about, should we spread out? Should we stick together? Should somebody focus on vantage point while somebody's fighting? All of that balancing, I think, just worked really well for me. Made sense with kind of the mechanisms, kind of the theme of the game and everything too. Communication was definitely a big one for this, which I think is what makes a cooperative game good. If you don't have to communicate, then you might as well just play it solo. So I really liked the theme. I really liked the look. I really liked the main mechanism. So honestly, I thought it was a really cool game. If you're somebody who doesn't like co-ops, or you don't like kind of that kind of almost grind of having to, okay, I start off with just a couple of things and I need to get this to get better. I need to get this to get better. I need to maybe draw an item card. If you don't like that kind of almost grinding feeling, then you might not like this one. Again, or if you don't like cooperative games, like I said, communication is a big one for this. So if you don't like that normally, I don't think that this one's going to help you much. But if this theme speaks to you and you like the general vibe of this, I think, like I said, it has a lot of variety. It has very easy starter mode. And then you can grow a lot of variety in characters and what they can do for their different abilities and everything. So overall, for me, I think it really worked. And if you want to see more, you can read the full thoughts on my blog today to decide if this one's for you.